Alice wasn't pleased with the tranquility of her original world, which, by the way, had purple skies, like the crown chakra. She was bored, so she ended up falling down the rabbit hole into a place which makes absolutely no sense. This is Wonderland. There's no rhyme or reason, everything is the opposite of what it seems. But at least it's interesting, right? I mean, that's what Alice wanted. She, according to the Disney version, was reading with her sister, and she falls onto the checkerboard after chasing the white rabbit. But not really. The game is played, but at the end, Alice wakes up unharmed. But now she is so happy to be in this tranquil original world. This is what has happened to us. This is what is happening to us. We're on the checkerboard, and this is a holographic grid designed so we can toy around with all of these absurd manifestations which have no relevance in the grand scheme of the original universe. So dualism itself just overlays on top of the earth, until we see what we see now, which is full-blown suffering. But this suffering is the result of many, many, many timelines, literally many universes converging into one. So we have a grand, ultimate experience of suffering, of illusion, of turmoil. And in this way, we will never have to repeat this. It's the same thing as Alice. I mean, Wonderland was chock full of just pure nonsense, pure absurdity, pure inversion. So this is the scarcity kingdom. Scarcity itself is a kingdom where all of the people are hungry because they do not know how to grow sustenance. They don't know about abundance. So those in scarcity take what they feel is missing and then conquer others out of this sense of inadequacy. And conquering others doesn't have to be like pushing people off of a hill and then putting up your flag. No, conquering others all has to do with how you're perceiving others, how you're communicating with them, what your intention is. And others can be the environment. It's anything outside or seemingly outside of yourself. So this timeline has basically demonstrated to us what happens when a scarcity kingdom is fully erect without reason. And operating from the root of scarcity ensures that you will discover opportunities to validate its existence. The white rabbit signifies time. The white rabbit is always in a hurry, and there's really no end goal or destination for the rabbit. The rabbit keeps saying, I'm late for an important date or something. But it's never revealed in the book or in the movies what exactly he's doing, what he's talking about. Well, this represents pulling away from this eternal now moment, from a state of tranquility. And Alice completely buys into that paradigm. And so that's why she falls onto the checkerboard, which really signifies dualism and a polar schematic within her own mind. So her goal is to just keep following the rabbit, but time after time again, she gets lost and she gets fed up because everybody is mad. And there's a very telling scene in which Alice says, well, I don't want to go among mad people. And the Cheshire Cat says,
Oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here.
everyone here is mad. And that's because that's the purpose of Wonderland. It's to infuriate you with yourself. And eventually Alice reaches this point and she breaks down and she says, you know, if only I had stayed, if only I didn't follow the white rabbit, which really means pay attention to time and just want to speed up manifestation just because I'm bored. I want to go back. And eventually she does. She wakes up and it's all a dream. So was there a Wonderland or was there not? Well, there was, in the perspective that it gave her very important experiences just to end up back where she was so she wouldn't take it for granted. But it's not, because there's no tangible existence beyond that dream. And so, why are we here? Well, we're here just to get back to wholeness. And that sounds absurd, but if you can imagine the living souls as a bunch of immature gods who just want to have some fun, just want to be entertained, and aren't concerned in that moment about the balance of experience, which translates into not caring about the balance of the universe, well, then the universe terraforms itself temporarily to help us with what we so desire. But we all know the expression, be careful what you wish for. And many of us are kind of feeling that right now. It's like, okay, well, I know this is my dream, so obviously I must take full responsibility as much as I can in any given moment. And this is just like getting caught in a thunderstorm. Like, imagine yourself like a little boy or a little girl, and you were in this warm cabin, everything was provided for you, but you wanted to play in the woods. And while you played in the woods, a huge thunderstorm came over you, and now you have to find your way back. And once you find your way back, well, you're no longer taking that warm cabin. Maybe there's some hot food in there. You're you're no longer taking that experience for granted. And so, did you take things for granted? Absolutely. Did I? Absolutely. But it's not about what we did or even what we're going to do, because the past and the future converge every moment of what we would call time. And this is why trying to observe the past as something set in stone is such a fallacy, because you have no idea if that is an implant of this hologram trying to get you to the very position you are right now as you're listening to this, or if it actually was. And at the end of this game, there's no difference. And so focusing on the past or even what happened 30 minutes ago, unless it's a threat to your physical being and it has to be immediately taken care of, say, I don't know, your car broke down, or you need to buy new food or something. Besides those basic necessities, trying to push emotion from the now into the past is as absurd as following the white rabbit. And on the contrary, pushing emotion into the future or into expectation, it's ridiculous, because it's not going to happen, and it never will happen exactly how you think it will. So all we can do is make mundane plans that are necessary right now, while maintaining the knowledge that who you are right now is the only meaningful representation of anything that you have been or will become. And this is a paradox that we must get used to. So Alice in Wonderland is a very clear representation, but a lot of Disney movies have this same idea, going from a state of innocence and calm and thrusted into an experience, an existence in which the world seems to be out to get you. But when the world is out to get you, that's when you can show your courage. And through courage, you can merge strength with kindness. And this is exactly what the new Cinderella movie shows. Cinderella was very comfortable with her mother and father, and eventually her mother and father die, and she's left with her new stepmother and step sisters. And she's treated like absolute garbage, but she perseveres. And when the game is starting to be over, meaning, happily ever after, that is when the fairy godmother comes out. And the fairy godmother seemingly is a separate force, but it's an allegory talking about the inherent magic in persevering. And, she goes to the ball. The masculine and the feminine are merged through this courage and kindness. And eventually she forgives her stepmother, who has been such a bitch to her. And she knows that nothing is harmed, and as long as you approach existence with ease, nothing is going to bite you in the ass. In fact, the magic will only increase, and the synchronicity and the true desires of the heart will always be fulfilled. And this is why, if we choose to spend our time focusing so much on external threats, this is really just a diversion from what you really want. I mean, we need to point out what heals the world and what heals ourselves to ourselves, rather than what destroys the world, what destroys ourselves. But a paradox in that is that right now, when we observe things that we don't wish to see anymore within ourselves or in the macrocosmic situation, this ultimately acts as a reminder for the wholeness that we want to achieve. And so everything is becoming more and more a magic mirror. And you know those bumpers when you're bowling? When there's bumpers when you're bowling, it's like your ball can't go in the gutter. It's like you're going to knock down some pins. And so the universe right now is putting up more and more bumpers for us, and it's redirecting us whether we like it or not, because again, this is a timeline. There's a beginning and an end. And because we're reaching the end, you have no choice but to discover wholeness within yourself. And there is no what if I don't or if you don't, because it's not your choice.